Bobby Roast Beef here, Jigs and friggin' Bigs. Man, we got one hell of a show for you guys today. The slot limit tournament for October just wrapped up, and man, I'll tell you what, it was a struggle. I don't think anybody hit 200 inches overall. I sure as hell didn't. We'll explain that whole story for you. We got some good stuff to talk about in this week's show, guys. It's myself and who the fuck is Joe Brown. We have a great Just the Tip for you guys. A lot of folks reaching out asking for tips on drop shot fishing, how to do it, when to do it, where to do it, what baits to choose. We're going to dive into it. We're going to sort of demystify the drop shot a little bit today. And the reason why is because water temps are starting to drop. You're going to start leaning on these finesse techniques in order to get a bite, because things are going to get tougher and tougher as we start moving into the winter. It's going to be something. We also have a couple of, we got an FTG that's going to demystify some things on its own. And we're going to talk a little bit about Junior's call last week. Who is this mysterious Jay? We're gonna find out. But anyway, guys, we have that. We have Eli calling into the live well. All kinds of good stuff to talk about. More Jigs and Bigs goodness coming up right after this. The consummate reminder of all the details that really barely matter. The one and only Eli Self, ladies and gentlemen. Letting me know that my super that's under my name still says Bobby Roast Beef and Binya. Yes, absolutely. Contrary to what some of you may believe, I actually don't use StreamYard for anything else. And being that we're recording this at 8:30 in the morning, yeah. So that's why it still says the same as the last show. So I think everybody can probably, using the ability to deduce what they're seeing on screen, can figure out that Binya is in fact tucked into his little log cabin in Vermont right now, because he had one hell of a day at the slot series. Joe, man, I was right in your neighborhood. I'm actually a little surprised I didn't get like a text if you were like, "Are you here?" Because just seeing my truck go by.
You know what's crazy is that's like when I anytime I go anywhere, I always go by the boat ramp. And for some reason yesterday I didn't.
Really?
So I took, there's two different ways you can take, and for whatever reason I went the other way yesterday when I was out with the family doing some shit. And but like I told you, I looked at the body. I still went by the body of water and saw some boats out there. And I didn't know you're out there. You should have texted me. I would have came and said, "What's up?" Oh man,
it was kind of a last minute deal, dude. It was kind of nuts. Yeah. Let's start off by saying this. This episode drops on October the 21st.
October the 21st.
Where the hell did this month go?
I know.
Like
I know, dude.
I feel like it was just the September slot.
Yep.
It's crazy. I can't believe it. So, like, here we are, man. The year is ending for tournament fishing. And I will say this. I'm curious, Jigs and Bigs listeners, I've had Binya over the last 2 or 3 weeks say to me,
"Oh yeah, dude, my season's wrapping up. It's pretty much done fishing for the year."
And then, I mean, of course, like we all know, like he's going to go and fish that next weekend or find some time to squeeze it in or something. But we had a conversation last night. This winter has been kicking our, or this fall season has been like absolutely kicking our ass. It is not.
Yeah, it's been a tough fall fishing.
Some people have been doing great, but I mean, even great, like compared to what, like the slot series yesterday, the maximum amount was like 190 plus. For inches, which I mean, in these tournaments, like we've seen numbers as high as 400 and 500 multiple times. Yeah. So I'm like, wow, that's just wild. Why don't we go ahead? We'll do a quick week in review, and then we'll kind of touch base on the slot tournament and all that jazz. How was your week, Joe? Did you do anything interesting? Anything fun?
No, dude. This was like a very boring week for me with nothing going on. I went back to work. That's about, I did nothing fishing. I'm sitting down here, but like I'm not wearing the brace anymore.
Full
like
movement. Yeah.
Got some movement going on in the thumbs. So, I think I'm gonna pull the cover off the boat today. Do some maintenance. Yeah, that's it, man. I wish I had more to report, but it was a very standard, typical,
lackluster kind of fall week. Yeah,
week for me.
I got some shit done this week, man.
Yeah.
So going into this week, I was like, obviously hot off the heels of St. Lawrence River, and kind of recouping mentally from that. I was like, you know what, man? I obviously have to be prepared for the slot tournament on Saturday. And I was like, I don't want to go out and fish. I just want to get some shit done. Like I had stuff for the 300th show I had to do. I got a video that is going to drop today that I had to finish editing, a doozy. This is part 2 of the St. Lawrence trip. It's significantly longer than the other one. People are loving part 1 so far. I was looking at analytics last night. I was like, holy shit. I'm like, people are watching this. Okay. So that's really cool. That definitely makes me happy. I got to a couple of things lined up. So here's the big announcement. It's happening. Halloween, trick or fucking treat. Tickets will be available at jigsandbigs.com for the 300th episode celebration. Now, somebody pointed out, they're like, oh, you're going to hit episode 300 way before. And I'm like, oh, yeah, absolutely. We're going to do it in a couple of months. But this is just the party that we can plan for to have, and it's a better time. So it'll work out really well, I think, for everybody. I'm doing the tickets this time through an organization called Brown Paper Tickets, and I've used them before. So the tickets are going to be priced at $25. Now, that ticket, why is this important? That ticket is your entry into all the giveaways and all the good stuff. So if you want to win prizes, that's all you need. Just get a ticket, you're good to go. We're going to be picking names. It's going to be very, very simple. It's not like a raffle or anything where your name's going to be put in multiple times. If you buy multiple tickets, every name is going in there once. So just pick up a ticket this way. And the nice thing is the reason why we have to do this is in your ticket form, there's information. So you have obviously your name, but your shipping address, because all the prizes are going to be shipped from the prize sponsors. That's another thing I was working on with some of the prize sponsor stuff. So, it's happening. Tickets will be available. They're going to drop on Halloween on Friday, the 31st of this month, and they'll be on sale until about, I think, 24 hours before the event starts is when sales end. So go ahead, get your tickets, get into it now. For those that don't know, the 300th episode is happening at the Nathan Bill's Bar and Restaurant Banquet Room. They are found on 110 Island Pond Road in Springfield, Mass. I'm probably going to leave them a small cache of tickets and some posters, because I'm going to run some ads in there too. Just if people come in and they like to fish, they've never heard of the show, and they want one hell of an experience, I'm going to leave them some. So I have tickets, physical tickets as well. So if you're a Jigs and Bigs listener and you pop in every once in a while to one of my trivia events, I'll have them on me. Or if you see me on the water, I'm going to have them on me. You can pick up your tickets right there from me and you'll be good to go. Obviously, we're going to need to collect name and contact info and everything. So that day we'll be getting all that info of all those people that, get their tickets and shit. But it's going to be pretty awesome. Now, the other thing that I worked on was some promo items to get this together. And I have been editing every day, a little bit here and there. And I've got some pretty good shit lined up. So that ate up most of my week. Now, I was sort of toying with the idea of getting out and pre-fishing for the slot tournament on, I think Friday was like the best day where it kind of worked for everybody. Problem was, looking at the weather, we had like conditions were going to be taking a shit like they do all the time anyway. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like the last few times I've gone out and I've pre-fished for the slot, I've gone out and I'm like, oh, all right, cool. I got a little bit of a pattern. And then like a storm comes in overnight or there's a major change. And like we were getting wind of like 10, 12 miles an hour on Friday. We got wind of like 3 miles an hour on Saturday. So I'm like, I'm not going to fish for those conditions, get a plan together. I've got enough of a confident feeling about fishing this body of water. I'm going to go ahead and send it. So I was in the boat with my buddy Jeff. And I can say that we had 9 anglers at the end of the day that entered the slot. And at the end of the day, we had, 7 of us that put in fish in total. and Jeff and myself were the last two spots. And this is how my day went. And I had one of our anglers that was in here was Nelson DaCosta, and Nelson's a hammer. Like that, the boy can fish, and I think he put up like 190, 191 or something like that, maybe 198. It was over 190 inches in total. His photos are like perfect every time, like every single time. We had gone and I talked to him a little bit, congratulating him on killing it. We kind of had the same sort of idea that day, and he was able to get on them just much quicker. I mean, we had spent probably about the first 45 minutes kind of looking for fish, and then my buddy Jeff hooked into a nice 16 and a half, a big largemouth on a small finesse jig, and we get this fish in, and here's the thing, Joe. So I have to go to Cabela's. Really, I have to today. There's no way around it. Because I need this for the multi-species scavenger hunt badly.
Okay.
My net disappeared. I don't know. Now, normally I leave my net in the boat on the floor lying flat. And I've done this, and I've driven back and forth to St. Lawrence this way, to St. Clair. I've driven to I mean, basically any of the big trips where I've taken the boat, Champlain, like all that stuff, and it's never been an issue. And one of two things happened. When I drove it home, actually, when I drove it home from St. Lawrence, it was resting in the boat with the handle sticking up on the back casting deck. It went nowhere. You know what I mean? It was in that spot the whole time. I left it in that position and intended to drive to the location where I was yesterday. And I get there, we're looking for the net, and I could not find it. I was like, where the fuck is this? And either somebody grabbed it out of my boat at some point while I was on the road, or it magically just flew away.
Yeah.
I'm like, you motherfucker. And this is like, I've been looking for an excuse to get rid of that net, because it's the twine, the rope style, the nylon netting.
Sure.
And like that sucks with treble hooks. And it's just like I get hooks buried in there all the time. Even like EWGs, like if it really sinks in there. So I do want to replace the netting material if nothing else. I like that net because it's a good size hoop, and I can put some pretty big fish in there. I'd like to upsize a little bit because I do want to dabble more with pike fishing regularly. And I think that that would be a smart move. I think I'm going to get something a little heavier though, just in case. Just in case.
Yeah.
It was not fun to discover that. I was like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. I was pissed, man. I was so pissed. I was like,
did you realize it like when you're already like
we were
at the spot yesterday?
We were on the water.
Yeah.
And he had a 16 and a half on the line. And I was like, holy fuck, dude, there's no net. And I was like, that's a big fish, but I'm pretty sure you can flip it. He flipped it right in the boat. We got him. So we get this one on there. He measures it, submits his entry. I go within like a cast or two. I was going with a different tactic. I mean, we were both downsized pretty much, but I was starting obnoxious. I was throwing an HH Customs mini koosh ball bladed jig, and I was throwing that with actually, what trailer I've been really, really liking on that a lot.
What's that?
Is the Arsenal ballistic Ned.
Okay.
I cut about an inch of it off, to get a little bit more space to make it a little bit more compact. And dude, I was just getting absolutely hammered with this sucker.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, all right, so this is cool. So I put two, first one was a short, right? Largemouth. Second one was, I think, a 12 and a quarter. Yeah. Second one was a 12 and a quarter, smallie. And I'm like, all right, cool. I'm on the board now. Beautiful. So I submit that fish, and we found our fish in like 12 or 14 foot of water. Like they were pretty deep. Everything that did bite off shallow was either the off species or a short. I caught one tiny smallmouth in some weeds up shallow, and I caught a fat yellow perch up shallow. Yep. On those were both on finesse swim baits. And I'll explain how I got there in a moment. So I was like, okay, so a little bit of vibration ain't too bad. I'm like, I'm gonna shift gears. I put on a half-ounce minigun, right, in a perch pattern with that same Arsenal trailer, except this I had the full 4-inch plastic on there. And I made a cast way out deep, let it hit the bottom, and just was like slow rolling, ticking it on the bottom. I got walloped so hard, dude, with a 14.25-inch Smalley. Like, this thing just absolutely crushed it. And it was like, we were so used to just grabbing the net for one another. Jeff's like, where's the fucking net? I was like, dude, we don't have the net. Don't worry about it. I got it. And that was part of the reason why I was like, I'm going to throw this on a little bit heavier line, on a little bit heavier gear, so I can really ensure that, like, I can have that level of confidence that I've got, like, I'm not throwing 4-pound leader, you know what I mean? Or like 6-pound fluoro on my jig rod or something. So that was the last slot fish that we put in the boat. It was 9:30, dude, when these fish were submitted. So we grinded for the entire rest of the day. What was it, 6.5 hours? We grinded on that body of water. We went and we're like, okay, so we found fish. We didn't want to leave fish, obviously. We stayed in that one area and kind of did laps back and forth, kind of scanning, looking for more bites. I figured, what was odd was I wasn't marking any fish out there. Like, I wouldn't see them. So I feel like they were just on the move. You know what I mean? Like, if I stopped in one spot and sat there, every once in a while I would see a mark, but I feel like they were active, like they were moving. They hammered these baits. Like, I feel like they were feeding. The water temps were colder than I expected because, again, like, we were up at St. Lawrence and we had temps that were like in the 60s. We got on the water at 8 o'clock before the sun had like really hit like where we started kind of making our way down. It was like 53. I'm like, oh, and that's so that's what Jeff had asked me. He was like, so what water temp are you looking for? I was like, north of 55. That's really what I'm looking for, is like something like that. We get 57 degrees and I'm like, I start to feel like they might not start getting lethargic. It might not be as much of a factor. But yeah, it's like about 9:30, 10 o'clock. It was like they just shut off. And we were looking for bites. I mean, dude, I threw everything. I threw drop shots at them. I threw jerk baits at them, thinking like as a little bit more subtle. I threw a nose hooked fluke up and around, like following weed lines and stuff, just to see what I could do. And of course, like I went back to the stuff that worked, but it was like when I was like, this isn't working here, but I'm like, it just feels like there should be fish here. Nothing. Then it was much later in the day. This was probably about like 2. Like we grinded. You know where the island is where I was fishing, where those rocks come up and those weed lines are? Yeah. We spent so much time going around there because I was like, this looks so fucking fishy.
That island always looks fishy, dude. And like very rarely do I pull anything
like and yeah, exactly, of quality, because that's the thing. I have caught fish over there, but nothing like really impressive.
Right.
And we went back, like we retraced the steps that worked. We went back to a few different areas. We're like, well, maybe now like water's slowly starting to warm up. We're seeing those temps that are hitting 56 degrees now. Yeah. We're like, maybe, like things are changing up a little bit. So we're going to find that weed edge or that ledge, and we're going to see if maybe they're up shallow and drop some stuff down, or vice versa. And, play around with some shit.
The dam?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
With not a single nibble, and it blew me away.
Really?
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. We fished the shit out of that dam. This time of year, that's where I'm. Yeah. If I were a betting man, that's actually where we started. We started working.
I was going to say that would have been the first place I went.
Yeah. That's exactly what I was thinking. And it worked out great, too, because the sun was shining right over there. Mm-hmm. Like, it was one of the first spots where we're like, if it's going to warm up a little bit, like, let's start in that corner and work our way around. Yeah. So I was amazed at how tough it was, dude. Like, we just freaking grinded. Got off the water. We actually called it like 15 minutes early because we were over by the launch fishing all that shallow stuff. And where the river comes in, I was like, well, let's see what we can do there. I did pick off one tiny smallie over there. And this was where I was like, so maybe it's the vibration. Like I had switched gears and thrown 2 different sizes of finesse swim bait. And gotten hit on both of them. On one of them, I caught a tiny smallmouth. I was on the smaller of the two. And then on the larger of the two, dude, there was a 10.5-inch yellow perch with it was like a Coke can diameter body. Like, it was ridiculous. I was like, this is the fattest yellow perch I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
So it was rough. We got off the water. I headed home. I was like, I gotta get out and get this net because the multi-species scavenger hunt open starts tomorrow. It's on Monday.
Yeah.
And I gotta tell you, John Hagen said said it earlier here. He says weather's about to take a shit just in time for the multi-species open. Massive front moving into Ohio now. Yep, that's exactly what I'm thinking, John. I was really looking at this one system is going to come in overnight tonight into Monday morning, which is going to fuck my shit up pretty good. Although it does look like there's significantly less rain overall, but look at that front.
Yeah, I was actually looking at the weather this morning. Yeah.
So it's gonna be a rough one for me. Like, I'm not sure how Monday is gonna play out. I'll see. Again, what makes it challenging for the multi-species open is that my I still have to do drop off. I'll tell you about what I had some hopes and dreams for this week during the open, and they got shattered. I'm fairly certain.
Okay.
So we'll go through my plan, right? My plan initially was to start at one particular body of water and target a group of fish and try and check those boxes off as best as I can. And I was like, all right, we'll go ahead. We'll start there. I don't know. I don't know with that front how it's going to work. I'm not so much worried about the rain. The problem is with the rain, I can't really bring Eleanor with me. And if I don't bring Eleanor with me, it's a very limited amount of time that I have to be able to go to turn it around. So I'm going to call Monday a wash. I'm probably not going to get out on Monday, right? Tuesday, I got to go and hit it hard. I got to make a decision. Where am I going to go? What am I going to be able to check off? How effective is this going to work? So Tuesday might be a possibility. But again, we're only going to be just rebounding after that front on Tuesday. Hopes are very, very low. I'm not planning on much success. Wednesday is when I get fucking butt fucked. That's what happens Wednesday. I have a vet appointment with Hudson Wednesday morning, right? Pretty much kills that whole day. We're supposed to get some rain, but it doesn't look like a major front of any kind. Actually, we're only supposed to get less than a 1/10 of an inch. So I don't think it'll be too terrible. The thing is with Wednesday is that my youngest and my wife are going to a concert, right? Which is going to be awesome. They're going to have a good time, which is great. But in my mind, I'm like, oh, she's not going to go to school the next day. I'm like, Thursday I can hit it hard. That's going to be where I can really lay into it. So I'm like, okay, so Thursday we should be good. Temps are going to take a little bit of a dip, but nothing super crazy. Nothing like tomorrow. Nothing like tomorrow.
Right.
So I'm like, all right, Thursday should be okay. I talked to my wife. I was like, yeah, so Ace probably isn't going to school, huh? And she's like, oh no, she's going. I think that was part of the deal with this concert. So I'm like, awesome. So what I'm going to do is just have everything ready to go so that if the judgment call comes and they're like, oh, no, she's staying home, I'm going fishing. It'll be a later start in the morning than I would typically be going for. But realistically, honestly, this time of year, I would push for a later start anyway, just to let that water warm up a little bit, let some activity start going. So that's Thursday. Friday, again, all of these evenings I have to work. I have trivia on every single one of them. I'm not planning on doing any night fishing afterwards because I have to be up at 6 a.m. to bring her to school. So I'm not planning on any of that. I'm going into this with zero expectation. I am going into this. My plan is that everybody else is going to get fucked by the weather too. That's what my plan is. You know what I mean? If I can get 5 different ones, I'll be satisfied. Shit, if I can get 4 different species, I'll be satisfied. If I can get 1 trout, I will be satisfied. You know what I mean? I have very, very little expectations. I will be hitting it. I'm doing a doubleheader on Saturday. I'm going up to a specific part of New England, and I'm fishing 2 different bodies of water, both of which I keep in my back pocket for this type of situation. I'm probably going to do 3 hours at each and just try and do the best that I can. I'm going to start with one that produces the best for me in this scavenger hunt, and I'm going to go, from there. then that brings me to Sunday. Now I still have to work on Sunday, but I've got basically Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday are the days that I'm going to be actually hitting it. Maybe I can squeeze something in on Tuesday. Congamon Jr. and maybe throw a pickerel on or something. I have no idea.
Yeah.
I have at this point, my fall fishing is such a piece of flaming garbage that I have very little expectations that this is actually going to turn out well at all. But who knows? All we can do is just go through. And I need a net for this fucking tournament so badly, dude. So badly. You know what I mean? I mean, especially like, dude, I don't want to fucking boat flip bowfin if I happen to get into them. You know what I mean? I want to at least have that insurance policy of being able to put a fish in the net and like take a breath, get them in the boat, handle them, measure them, and then let them go. You know what I mean? And man, that would make my life so much easier if that were the situation. So 300th episode, check. Multi-species scavenger open, check. The nice thing is I've already done an open and I'm entered in the open, so I can enter the championship. I also this week got some bad news.
Okay.
Remember how last week we were talking about St. Lawrence during opening weekend?
Yeah.
I have 2 weddings that weekend.
Well, we go during the week.
You go during the week?
We go during the week.
Oh.
We do like the whole week, yeah.
Oh, that's probably not going to work for me either. Only because I'm still going to have the prep work involved for that week.
Oh, right.
And with 2 of them, it's going to be double. You know,
that's a bummer.
Yeah, I'm like I have one that's a Friday and one that's one that's a Saturday and one that's a Sunday. So it's going to be a grind. So I think what my plan is I'm going to go up for some walleye fishing a little bit early. And I think I'm going to probably go a week or 2 later in like July and target some. Because I had a conversation with Sean and he was like, don't discount that stuff. He's like, it's not so bad. In fact, Benny and I already were picking out dates and we're talking about actually camping right at that state park. And then
that's what I plan on doing this year.
Just docking the boat there. You know what I mean? Done deal. So, yeah, I think that's the plan. We're probably going to go that route. I think that'll be pretty fun. Yeah, you'll have the fucking trailer. You're going to bring the whole family? You're going to have the camper and everything, right?
I'll probably at least bring Meg and Emma, yeah.
Yeah. That's fucking awesome, though. You'll have a great time.
Yep.
That'll be an absolute blast. So, yeah, that's what we're talking about doing is like just setting up camp there. And that way we don't have to move the boat unless we want to like change bodies. Or, hey, maybe we end up back at that other lake because the fishing is fucking kicking our ass again.
Yeah, exactly.
Who knows? John says, here he goes, the open will be rough for me, too, because of my current work schedule and the weather pattern. That's the thing, man. I think the weather pattern is going to be – that's the wild card. You know what I mean? And the timing of everything is going to be nuts. I have no idea what's going to happen. We shall see. We shall see. What else did I have to talk about? I kind of think that about does it. Let's take a quick look at the results though for the scavenger hunt. Not the scavenger hunt, for the slot limit tournament. So we had in total. So this is actually better than I thought. Not 7 anglers, 8 anglers. That turned in fish. Now, keeping in mind, I haven't judged these fish officially. That's happening this week. On top of having to compete for the multi-species scavenger hunt open, I'm going to be judging fish and everything. Fuck my life is what we're getting at. But this is what we ended up with. Jeff Marciniak came in with 16 and a half inches. Your boy Bobby Roast Beef at 26 and a half inches. Aaron Odenkirk came in at 54.5 inches. Alec Plotnikevich broke the 100-inch mark. That was a big deal for this one. 108.50. Benny Outdoors is in 4th place right now at 132.75. Ronald Moy came in at 143.75 in 3rd place. And then in 2nd place, we have Bobber Down. Now, the Bobber Down, this is their first time in one of these tournaments ever there, so we haven't had this name in here. Bobber Down put down 158.5 inches in total. Not too bad. And in 1st place at 190 1/4 inch, Nelson DaCosta right there. Now, these are unofficial results. We'll be doing our judging and everything. I mean, I can tell you this much. There's enough of a gap between Nelson and Bobber Down where those two positions probably aren't changing. Let's see. There is
Brody this one.
And I'm surprised. Brody hit me up earlier and he was like, "Oh, when is this one?" Eli asked a question. He goes, "Does Binion take over next year as tournament director?" Yeah, he does. He takes over next year. I could actually just wrangle him and have him judge these fish, but I know Mike. He's not going to want to judge his own fish. Like that's a big thing for him. And I'm like, I judge my own fish all the time. Granted, I've never been in the money where it's ever fucking mattered when I've judged my own fish. But I'm like, dude, Sean judged his own fish. Like it's all public stuff. People can see if there's anything fucked up going on, and I'm like, trust me, like it'll be good. But yeah, I will be Binya's personal judge of his entries is how that's going to work.
Yeah.
And then Eli says, "Oh, I thought it would start during these tournaments." Now, I mean, officially next year, I may actually have him go through some of these and see what he thinks beforehand. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But it'll be interesting. Of course, like I said, I'm gonna have to judge his, but it was pretty good. And I mean, no real drama or anything like with this slot series, which most of them are very, very smooth. Everybody made perfect use of decimal points. Very handy to know going into this, and things are really good. So, yeah, congratulations to our winners. Like I said, we're going to be doing payouts and everything over this week. I still have to wait for all of the deposits and everything to come in from the winners because we did again. Like a lot of these came in on Friday, like Friday morning. I think we only had like 3 or 4 when Thursday night rolled around. It was like Friday was a big one. In fact, I was talking with Nelson. He was like, I was going to go hunting on Saturday, but he goes, the weather was just too nice. He's like, I'm going to take out the kayak and go for it. I was like, fucking, I can't say that I blame you. It was a great day to spend the day on the boat, just eating jerky and fucking, questioning your decisions in life.
Yeah, exactly.
It was. And I'm glad we at least put a couple of decent fish in here because if we would have blanked, I don't think I can handle that, Joe.
That would have been tough.
That. Yeah, especially after St. Lawrence. Might have been like, fucking boat for sale. Fucking, we're going to take up knitting.
Come on.
We're going to take up knitting. Also did some new boot goofing this week. I have I'm a big fan of Chippewa boots. Love them. Mm-hmm. And they're fantastic. Like they're super, super fantastic. The thing is I've had my last pair for like going on 3 years. I didn't realize it's been that long. And on the upper, I've got some rips, like right where it meets like the steel toe. And so it's like they're no longer waterproof and they're a little bit beat up. They're comfortable as shit. So what I did was I was like, I'm going to look around and see what I can do. And I wanted to get more of like a hiking style boot, but I still wanted a steel toe, in case you got to kick some skulls in, you know what I mean? Yeah. And I was like, but I was looking for like more of a hiking style boot. I don't like Merrells. Have you ever tried those?
Oh yeah, I've had plenty of Merrells.
I don't like them. I just something about them. They don't fit my foot right.
Yeah, my favorite pair of like hiking style boots right now I have are my On Clouds. They're the most comfortable shoes I've ever had.
I looked at those and I was like, I don't know. I'm like, I ended up what I settled on was I got a really good deal on a pair of Keens.
Keens are nice.
Yeah, I was like, that's pretty solid. I like them. I like them quite a bit. My wife was like, you kind of look like. She's got to know what the fuck you look like. Like, there you go. But I like to have a wider toe box, and that's always good for like good foundation and everything. And Bobby Roast Beef loves nothing more than a good wide box, and it's important, storage and everything. Eli says, jerky. Have you gotten the Boat Snacks jerky? I have not yet gotten the Boat Snacks jerky. I have not yet gotten any Boat Snacks jerky. I got to try it. I actually made the decision to go with, I think, Old Trapper. I think that's what I went with yesterday. Yeah. Because it was, I was like, oh, they got the hot and spicy. Let's go for it. And there's something magic that happens with jerky when it's on the boat, on the dash of your console, and the sun is directly out there. It softens the jerky a little bit, and it's almost like having like brisket, you know?
Yeah,
it's a little bit more rewarding. I'm like, oh, this is pretty goddamn good, man. I could eat the hell out of this jerky. I'm ready to go for the multi-species scavenger hunt open. I'm stoked. I got a couple of places. It's tough, man. School is fucking me up this year. I didn't even think about this. I was like, maybe we should do one of these in the summer. That way people will have a little bit more flexibility. It's more of a challenge, but I don't know. What do you say we go ahead and do our headlines, Joe? We'll just jump into it. Get into it. Here we go. It is nice to be able to hear the music, isn't it?
It is.
It's much better, isn't it? God damn.
It is. So it's been a little bit slow in the headlines the last couple of weeks, but I found this gem this week because a Tennessee fishing guide catches a record bass that officials say shouldn't even have been there. Not to be confused with native spotted bass, the Alabama bass is considered invasive and it's a threat to local smallmouth fisheries. Officials in Tennessee certified a new state record bass Friday after confirming the species in a lab. And while they're recognized in the latest addition to the record book, they say the fish, an Alabama bass, shouldn't even be in Tennessee waters. In a news release, the Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency said local fishing guide Caleb Ball caught the state record. You know, I'm so glad that there's finally a name in here that I can pronounce.
Caleb, he's the guy I fished Chickamauga with. We've had him on the show. Yeah, we've had Caleb on the show.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
Caleb's a good fucking dude. I love that guy.
So, where was I? The Tennessee agency said local fishing guide Caleb Ball caught the state record Alabama bass from Parksville Reservoir in Polk County. Bell's bass weighed 7 pounds, 3 ounces, just 3 ounces heavier than the previous Alabama bass record, which was caught in 2014 from the same lake. Unfortunately, Alabama bass are an invasive species that was introduced illegally into Tennessee. Alabama bass currently impact numerous reservoirs associated with the Tennessee River. The TWRA explained that the species jeopardizes native bass species by competing with them for resources. They could also hybridize with smallmouth bass, an even bigger concern that could have potentially devastating effects on local fisheries.
Yep.
Officials used Friday's announcement as an opportunity to remind anglers not to move Alabama bass or any other fish from one body of water to the other. Bell recognized these concerns himself in a recent Facebook post, calling attention to his new state record bass, which he said the TWRA verified through DNA analysis. This was necessary because Alabama bass look nearly identical to a native subspecies of spotted bass. It can also be hard to tell the hybrids apart from the pure strain smallmouth bass found in the state. Now, in a lot of our lakes, I think they surveyed either Chickamauga or a Nickajack, and the hybridization level is up to 60% between smallmouth and those Alabama spotted bass. So what could happen in my lifetime is there could not be a true smallmouth bass left here in Tennessee.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. Bell, who runs Bass Quest Fishing Charters, says he and his friend Alex Rudd, you know him,
another guest,
set out to break the Alabama bass record last November. He says it only took a few hours fishing Parksville one morning for him to catch that 7.3. And he caught it on live bait, a gizzard shad he'd caught earlier with a cast net, mostly because Rudd knew exactly where to go. So they kind of just go into what they're looking for, how they caught this bass. But 7 pound, 3 ounce Alabama bass caught in Tennessee by, I guess, a friend of the show, Caleb Ball.
Yeah, Caleb is. Let me first off say this: Caleb is a goddamn hammer when it comes to fishing. Like, that guy can fish. He is one of the fishiest dudes I've ever had the pleasure of even having a conversation with. And, I want to say Alex had on his channel had talked about, you know what it was? It was on his podcast, the Alex Rudd Fishing Podcast. He had an entire episode about the Alabama bass and the impact it could have on the future of smallmouth fishing in Tennessee.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. I didn't realize that when they say that the hybridization rate is up to 60%, I want to say it was more like 40% a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Which is unbelievable how fast this is changing things. So,
oh, sure.
I mean, congrats on an absolute giant and a state record for Caleb, but like, what a species. You know, I mean, it's just like it's bananas.
I wish that's what we had when I was down in friggin' Georgia and Alabama, but we were just catching those dinky friggin' spotted bass.
Were they also Alabama spots where you were?
I don't think so, because Alabama spots can hit those sizes, whereas like the spotted bass, it's like biggest one in there is like 2 pounds. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
But every fish in that lake was a pound and a half, and it was aggravating to travel that far to compete with a 10-pound bag.
I should not. You know what? That would be a great lake to fish the slot with.
Right.
You know, get into those, catch them all. I mean, all you got to do is just do the numbers. But
yeah,
that is freaking bananas, guys. Let's go ahead and do this, guys. We're going to take a short break. We're going to come back around, flip this show around. We got a just a tip for you. We are going to deconstruct and demystify how to fish a drop shot, where, when, why, and how. All of this stuff all together. We're going to talk about it because it's been a topic of conversation recently. And trust me, as things are cooling down and the fishing is transitioning into full-on fall and then into winter, this is a rig that you are probably going to find yourself relying on at one point or another. And having a little bit of know-how might help you make more effective use of it. We're going to see you guys in a bit. Don't go too far. More Jigs and Bigs goodness coming up right after this.
And perhaps play a little game called Just a Tip. Just for a second, just to see how it feels. Or, ouch, ouch, you're on my hair.
Okay.
Rather accurate and true. Just the tip this week, guys. Let's do a little bit of background story. So, you know, obviously we were talking a lot about drop shot during the trip to the St. Lawrence River. I know that while we were on the boat, you know, Binya had expressed he is not as familiar fishing a drop shot, doesn't have the confidence in it as much as some other rigs. Seemed to do okay. You know, did just fine with it. And then yesterday on the boat, while I was on with my buddy Jeff, he was he actually, we were texting even before that. He was like, if it's really slow fishing, he's like, I kind of like a little crash course on how to fish a drop shot. And I was like, absolutely, man. And I kind of summed it up in one simple kind of way that we'll get to later. But it got me thinking that like a lot of folks, this is a question that I hear a lot or from people. Either you'll hear them, they'll say one thing very simply, like, I just hate fishing the drop shot. Like famously, Sean the Fisherman hated fishing the drop shot. Joe said before we started recording the show that, you know, it was only recently that he kind of got comfortable with it. But I feel like every angler at one point or another tries to at least tackle this because they are aware of how effective it is. And so they wrestle with it. And some folks have a tendency to sort of overcomplicate things and worry too much about, I guess, like doing things right. Joe, does that make sense? Something like that?
Yes, that makes sense.
So we're going to dive in a little bit and talk about this. So essentially at the core, like the drop shot rig is one of the most precise and subtle and versatile tools that a freshwater angler can use. It's deadly when fish are holding tight to structure or suspended just off the bottom, especially when they're finicky or under any kind of pressure. It's often seen as a finesse setup. It's far from limited to clear, deep lakes, though. It can shine pretty much just about anywhere once you know what to look for. So places where it will work best, and these are like, we'll start with the most effective, are the ones you think of obviously all the time. Deep, clear lakes. It's perfect for targeting smallies and spots around offshore humps, points, drop-offs. You want to use light line for this, obviously, because it is a finessey technique, and you're talking like generally like 6 to 8 pound fluorocarbon. So like you have a 6 to 8 pound leader on your spinning setup, you're pretty much you're pretty much where you need to be. And smaller baits like minnows or shad imitators, electronics are going to help you pinpoint the area where you're going to find suspended fish, and those fish that are more tightly relating to the bottom. Your next one, which is still very, very strong effectiveness, is your reservoirs and like large impoundments. Use drop shots around standing timber, submerged roadbeds, bridge pilings, or steep bluff walls. That actually played out on Sunday when we were up in New York. That's where I caught that one fish drop shotting there was off a steep bluff wall. A heavier weight there of like 3/8 or a half ounce can help keep your bait vertical when fishing deeper or in wind. Then again, obviously in current areas and in rivers, you can have effectiveness with a drop shot. You'll cast upstream and let the rig drift naturally through the current seams or behind boulders. You want to shorten your leader length a little bit to maintain bottom contact. It's great for both smallmouth. It's great for walleye too. And it's like a whole other animal. You're just allowing it to drift with it. And this was something that I hadn't considered until I was in a high current situation like in Alexandria Bay. Like, it makes perfect sense now that I'm reading this exactly how it went. But when Chris described it, I was just like, really? That's interesting. And it just didn't sink in. And then for your, smaller lakes and ponds that you're going to fish regularly, it's not always the first pick, but in clear water, when fish are suspended over like a brush pile or weed edges alongside, a drop shot can outfish a lot of other presentations. Go ultra finesse with this: light line, small hook, natural colors, good structure that you can focus on, points and ledges, ideal spots where bass are going to transition between shallow and deep water, rock piles and hard bottoms. Rocks attract bait and bass. Drag your weight slowly until you feel the change in texture. And this is where tungsten can help. Pay attention to that. Like, you throw a tungsten drop shot weight, and it really, really does. You feel that shell bottom. You feel those rocks. And it's when you switch to lead, you're just like, oh, wow, yeah, it's not as, I guess, high definition, as if that makes any sense. Around brush piles and timber too, hover your bait just above the cover where the fish are suspended. Weed lines and sparse grass, you can let your bait hang just above the top of that vegetation. And then, vertical structure like your bridge, your pilings, bluff walls. Keep the presentation straight down. Often fish will often stack along that vertical cover. Some good ideas for success: leader length is, that's a big question. People ask all the time. 6 to 8 inches for bottom huggers, up to 18 inches if fish are suspended. Your weight choice. I used to throw weights that were a lot lighter than this, but I think a 1/4 ounce is a great place to start. For calm, shallow water, it's great. You go up to 3/8, a half ounce, 3/4 ounce for, really deep, high current, or even windy conditions. Like when you want to pin it down, or you want to slow the way that it moves through current, that's going to help you. And then, your line size, fluorocarbon main line or braid to a fluoro leader is exactly what you're looking for here. Your hook sizes, a number 1 or a number 2 drop shot hook for finesse plastics, worm baits, your minnows, small shad style baits, anything like that. And then something to pay attention to seasonally. As fall progresses into early winter, that's when fish are going to start staging up deeper along hard bottom points and vertical breaks. It's prime time to be fishing a drop shot. Slow down your presentation. Keep your bait near the bottom or suspended just up above the thermocline, if there is one, obviously, where fish are going to hold steady. Now, here are a couple of tips where I think this might help you if you have no idea how to work a drop shot. And I think this also might be one of the reasons why people have so much disdain for this technique. So let's talk about the baits. Let's talk about the techniques. One of the techniques, and this is the number one that people are just going to hate beyond anything, the dead stick, right? You have a cold front, super duper clear water or highly pressured fish. You're going to want to basically just hold that bait in place and let it do its thing. If there's any kind of current, any movement at all, let it just happen. Dead stick that sucker. Hold your bait still with light line tension. Even like minor current or line movement is going to cause that plastic to breathe a little bit and swell while it's under the water. Rest the sinker on the bottom and watch your line for ticks or any kind of slack movement. Bites are often going to happen while the bait is motionless. I think this is probably my favorite drop shot technique. At least it feels like I'm doing something, is the light shake, or the quiver, as some people call it. Neutral to slightly active fish. That's where you're going to want to, that's when you're basically going to be relying on this technique. You want to use small wrist shakes to make your bait tremble in place. The goal is like a micro vibration. You're not looking to hop it. You're not looking to move it. You're just looking to literally shake that tail. You want to keep your sinker in contact with the bottom and then gently shake the rod tip. And we're talking like an inch or two at a time. Just a little bit. Just moving that line is going to be enough to do it. And then as far as the baits that work great for this, your worm style baits, your finesse minnows, or your tiny creatures, that works awesome. The dragon paws. People forget about this one. The dragon paws. When fish are hugging the bottom or relating to contour changes, slowly drag the rig along the bottom, then pause every few feet. What that does is it's going to mimic bait fish or a craw that's slowly working its way across structure. And here you want to keep more of a semi-slack line. If it's too tight, and you'll lose the natural action. And then the pop or snap technique. This is for deeper fish that need a trigger. You know, you got your bait way down there, and you got to really kind of get them to react. Pop or lift your rod sharply, anywhere from like 6 to 12 inches, and then let the bait glide right back down. That imitates bait fish darting and settling. It's great for small swim baits, like those really, really tiny swim baits, or your straight-tailed minnows too. That works awesome. Watch your line closely though. Bites often are going to come as it's falling back down. And then the vertical hover or shake, and I think this one is often overlooked. This is what you want to use when you're fishing vertically over suspended fish. If you're using sonar, this comes in real helpful with sonar or live scope. Keep your bait just above those fish and use tiny little shimmies and shakes, little micro tremors in your rod or in your rod tip to make the bait just kind of pulse where it is. And less is more here. The natural movement of your line is often going to be enough. So the next thing that I want to cover, and this is a big one, is what do I use for plastics? Joe, you hear people say this where they're like, oh, they make a great drop shot bait. You know,
sure,
that'd be great to fish for a drop shot. And some of this kind of makes absolute sense. You know what I mean? Some of this makes absolute sense. Some of it, however, is like I'm a sarcastic piece of shit. People are like, oh, so what do you like to use for a drop shot? And I'm like,
soft plastics.
Like, they really, depending on the hook that you choose, and like, there's a lot that you can choose to use for a drop shot plastic. So like, let's talk, we'll do a breakdown of like the type of baits, where, you know, what they're best for typically, what the action and look is like, and a little tip for rigging here. So the one that everybody thinks of right away is like a straight tail worm, your robo worm, your zoom finesse worms, things like that. Even your flat worms, your Berkeley flat worms, those are a really good one. Those are just great all around use. Like, that's a great place to start. Start with a worm bait. It's subtle. Your action, like the subtle quiver and the lifelike action that it has. Like, when you dead stick one of those, it's highly effective. If you're in open water, a nose hook is great. If you need to go a little bit weedless, Texas rig it. And this brings me to the type of hooks that you use. Folks will often buy drop shot hooks to drop shot with. And that is absolutely going to get the job done for you. But the world of drop shot hooks is like, it's like, what do you trust? You know? And there's a handful of hooks that I really like. I'm toying around with these Mustad ones that are pretty solid, and they've been good so far. I like owner hooks a lot. For my drop shot hooks, when I'm using them like the in super clear water and I want a smaller hook, like the mosquito hook, I like a lot. But my favorite hook is the owner cover shot. And it's for this rigging right here, the Texas rigging, the weedless rigging. There is a little bead of glue with some, like, it's like a fluorocarbon keeper that's up higher up on the shank near the eye of this hook. And you can run that plastic right up there, and that's a holder. It's a keeper. It'll keep that plastic in place. So when you're like, oh, I don't want to fish a drop shot, they're biting the drop shot, but there's so much grass over here. Throw that bitch in the grass. Throw it in the grass, because these types of hooks will help you do a lot with it, you know. And if you're fishing open water, I've nose hooked baits on those as well, and they come in a variety of sizes to boot. But that's just a little extra thing. Your shad style minnows, your Strike King Dream Shots, your Yamamoto shad shaped worms. That's great in deep clear lakes. The action that they have is more of like a gliding or a darting action. Nose hook those for a clean and free moving action. Your small swim baits. Small Kitex, 2.8s, Z-Man, Z-Minnows, things like that. Suspend them around, use those around suspended or aggressive fish. And that's got a nice realistic swimming motion. You can thread them on the hook or use a small EWG style hook for a weedless rig. Your creature baits and gobies, that's where you want, that's your bottom contact type stuff, your current areas. It imitates craws, imitates gobies. Nose hook those, use a short lead to keep it near the bottom, and you'll find some effectiveness. And then flukes and split tail minnows. People don't think about using these, but they're great. They're awesome for suspended bass. Again, they're darting and they're erratic. Nose hook those for more action, or Texas rig them for more cover fishing. And, that pretty much covers just about like the gist of it. But like, you can use a small craw. Like if you are using a small plastic, you pick what you've got confidence in. Like if they're biting something and you're like, oh, I have that plastic, I should maybe try and drop shot that. If it's, if it fits the move, go for it. It doesn't take a whole lot. I do want to touch on, there's some people that I think the challenge of fishing a drop shot is tying a drop shot. I think that's the big one. So I'm going to go through my method for tying a drop shot. And then Joe, if you do anything that's different, or you have a tip, go for it. So when I tie my drop shot, what I do is I tie a Palomar knot, right, on my hook. I go directly in with the line, right, and I leave a long tag end, right. You want that tag end is the leader line between your hook and the weight. So I leave this, I set it for I usually fish generally anywhere from like 8 to like 18 inches, somewhere in there, depending on what I'm fishing, what I need to. And I usually will tie it longer. And if I need to shorten it up, then that's easier to do. If I have to get it closer, that's easier to do than untying than cutting it off and redoing the whole thing. So I leave that probably anywhere from like about as short as 8, but up to 18 inches. Most of the time it's between 12 and 18. So you tie that hook, and then what you want to do is you want to straighten the line out so you're looking at the hook. And what you want to see is that hook bend come out and the point to be on top. That's what you're looking for. You want the hook to be resting like that, like a J that's laying on its back. All right? If the knot got wonky and it's not sitting that way, take that line and run it back through. Take the end of that tag end, run it back through the hook, right? Through the front of the hook so that it's crossing over the hook tip point first. Run it back through, and that should straighten it out for you. Lots of times when you get it wrong, it'll be upside down. And when you run it back through, it will straighten it back out. Once you do that, attach your weight. Some folks like the clip weights so that if they do get stuck at the bottom, they can break that off versus breaking off the whole rig. Other folks like the assurance of knowing that, like, I'm not losing this sucker, and they tie it on. You can get great drop shot weights that are really versatile over at Dark Horse Tackle with Wicked Weights. And they are pretty badass. But these are weights that do dual purpose. You can use them for free rigs as well. See there? You like that, Zach? You like that? We got that plug in for you. So there's, it's really not that difficult to set up and fish. And it's not really anything. You're basically fishing a soft plastic. Now, I do want the tip that I gave to Jeff when it was fishing a drop shot, and I said it this way with intention. Fish it like a jig. And to some people, they're going to be like, well, you can fish a jig any which way because they're familiar with jig fishing. Exactly. We've had guests on the show that have told me, Nate from Fresh Baits had said he in his interview after Pickwick, he's like, yeah, I fish a drop shot like I fish a jerkbait. And I'm like, really? I could kind of see where that might work. I could kind of see where that might work. Michael Smith says tungsten or lead. As far as dark horse tackle goes, tungsten. And realistically, I would advocate for tungsten weights for drop shotting. Like, will lead be effective and cheaper? Yes, absolutely. But I do think I am a fan of being able to like really feel every single tick that's down there, you know? So what do you think? What are your thoughts, Joe?
No, I think you nailed it. The one thing I will say is like I'm going to use the St. Lawrence River for as a reference here, but it's definitely, you know, there's definitely different techniques to drop shotting in the aspect of different movements, different ways to fish it. So we'll say this. So in the beginning of the season of St. Lawrence River, I'm you know, dragging and I'm moving that bait to kind of get them, you know, to bite that bait, like those reaction bites. But when I'm fishing, and Zach can attest to this because he was up there with us, when you know I'm fishing the fall there, I'm basically just like you said with the jig, I'm just slowly dragging that thing, pausing and slow. I'm not moving the bait or anything. I'm just letting the current and everything do that, and I'm just slowly moving that thing. Yeah. So there is different ways to fish it. Obviously, when it comes to the knot, I typically use a clinch knot. That's just what I use.
Use a clinch knot. Okay.
Yeah, I use a clinch knot. And then, yeah, other than that, you pretty much nailed it.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. I think when it comes to like, there's a lot of folks that look at specific techniques, and if they don't necessarily grasp them right away, they often are just like, I need a cookbook. Like, you know, that's actually a really good example. When it comes to like some of these techniques, there are folks that like, they couldn't cook a meal without a recipe in front of them. They couldn't do it. They just couldn't do it. And it's okay. There's, you know what I mean? But there are other folks that are like, well, these things taste good, you know, and they'll figure it out. And like, both people can be successful doing what they're doing. Both people can make an amazing meal. You know what I'm saying? But like, there are folks that like, they need to have this kind of information. Now, hopefully that's what we're able to do with you guys right here. Feel every single what, Bobby? Metal Jones says, feel every single tick on the bottom. I want to feel the rocks. I want to feel the shell bottom. I want to feel whatever it is. If it's mushy, I want to know, you know, how mushy. I'm a big advocate for tungsten when it comes to that. Sometimes tungsten is worth it, and I think drop shot weights is one of them where it's worth it. 100%. I don't lose as many drop shot weights as I used to. I really don't. Yeah. It's kind of crazy. Like, I think like, I'm going to lose these like crazy. I got to buy a bunch. And then I'm like, why? You know,
I lose a shit ton when I'm on the St. Lawrence, just
really?
getting them hung up in the rocks and shit.
I fished a drop shot most of the time there. I didn't lose a single one.
Good for you.
I couldn't believe it. I couldn't fucking believe it. I caught no fish, so I mean, maybe that's got something to do with it. But yeah, I was like, man, it was nuts. Although I was fishing half ounce, I was fishing a little bit lighter, I think, than most everybody else. So I don't know that I was necessarily burrowing into some of these deeper spots. Sure. But yeah, man, it's brutal. So yeah, as water cools, you're gonna rely on this rig, and don't let fear of like, oh, I don't know if I'm doing it right or whatever. I try to explain to people, there's no like real wrong way to do it. You know what I mean? It's just keep in mind and picture what that bait looks like at the bottom and think about what you're doing, you know, and what those fish want. And it's pretty direct. Let's talk about the hook set. I think that's the thing that fucks most people up is the hook set. The drop shot hook set is not like fishing a jig. And that is the biggest difference. The drop shot hook set is nothing like fishing a jig. So you might be imparting action on this, dragging this bait slowly, you know, moving it along, or just leaving it in one spot, letting it kind of quiver, and you get that bite. All you have to do is reel down and then lean into these fish, because these hooks are light and they're going to penetrate. You know, you think of using the fish's weight almost against itself, you know, You just have to lean in and let that hook do what it's going to do. That hook is going to bury itself in there. You're going to get that fish pinned. But if you snap it and that fish is off at all, you're going to miss that fish. Now, Joe, you're a heavy hook setter. Mm-hmm. Tell me I'm wrong.
No, I don't think you're. So for me, when I kind of forget the technique I'm doing, I usually, because I use very light leader material, in the aspect of like maybe like 6 to 10 pounds, the absolute most, depending on where I am. Yeah. But mostly I'm in that 6 to 8 pound range. Yeah. And if I get a little heavy handed on the hook set, I tend to just break off. But yeah, no, you're right. It's definitely a technique that you can just kind of lean into that hook set. I do tend to still snap it a bit. Mm-hmm. I just do it a little bit lighter, but no, what you're saying is a great technique for drop shotting, just like you said, with those thin wired, hooks that are that they're sticky. So you typically, especially the bigger fish, it's the smaller fish that tend to they don't stick as well. But yeah, no, you nailed it.
That's the thing. I think when it comes to setting the hook on a drop shot, like there's a lot of people that are just like, oh, there's a bite, and they go to swing on it, and it's just I mean, there's actually a really good clip of me setting the hook on a drop shot that's in my next upcoming video, and it shows like you put the muscle into them, obviously, but you're relying, and this was not a big fish at all. This was like probably like a fucking 11-inch fish, nothing crazy. But when you feel that bite, you're like, just reel down to them, and then and it is money in the bank. It is money in the bank. Michael Smith jumps in and he says, any word on Bubba? That's a perfect transition point, Michael. That is a perfect transition point. Let's talk about this. Joe, did you hear last week's FTG that came in from Junior?
I didn't. I haven't heard it yet.
So Junior, I mean, he called in and he kind of go back and listen to it. Give it a listen. But I'll just say this. Junior had brought in. This is becoming more of a family affair, and it's ridiculous. Junior had brought in his I think he said his cousin Jay, and he brought that in like I don't know exactly what the story is with Jay, but he introduced them to Jigs and Bigs. He was actually really complimentary about like liking the show and not wanting to like fuck it up anymore or anything like that, which is actually perfect timing because we got a couple of listeners that voiced their displeasure with these phone calls, but now we actually have an FTG from the one and only. Well, you'll hear it.
Fuck that guy. Fuck that guy. Fuck that guy.
Hey, Jigs and Bigs. It's your guy, John Higgins. How's it going, Bobby? How's it going, Joe? I wanted to call in an FTG this week. A genuine one. I don't know about y'all, but I am sick and tired of Bubba Jr. shit. Tired of hearing them, tired of knowing them, just need them to go away. First off, Junior, who the fuck are you calling up at, you little bastard? Now, here's the problem. These are my cousins, y'all. These goofy bastards come from the lowest branch of the family tree. The branch that's wilted. The branch that may have been even cross-pollinated.
Oh.
We try not to be around these fools because they want me to go fishing with them all the time. The fuckers fight everywhere they fucking go. And one's wrong, the other's right, and the other's right, and the other's wrong, and then they start fucking rolling around. And I've been around them. We've watched them fight in goddamn parking lots at the gas station. They got into a fight because I told them to meet me in Gallipolis, Ohio, on the river at the Piggly Wiggly, and they told me there wasn't no Piggly Wiggly in Ohio. But sure as shit, there's a Piggly Wiggly in Ohio, and these dumb fucks got into a fight in the parking lot because there's a Piggly Wiggly in Ohio. I'm sorry that y'all got stuck with this shit. It's my fault they started listening. I was trying to get them off my back, get them out of my hair, tell them leave me the fuck alone, listen to a radio show. And now you guys got stuck with this bullshit. So I don't know if this is a genuine fuck me or fuck them, but maybe it's fuck all of us. I don't know. But I do apologize. And we won't even talk about Bubba. This son of a bitch, I don't even like fishing with him. He caught a goddamn fish. He didn't even catch it. He accidentally snagged the fish with a cigarette butt on a hook. And now he takes a cigarette butt everywhere he fucking goes and fishes with it. And he even went as far as to create this little fucking contraption with a treble hook and a weight and a cigarette butt on the end of it. And he calls it his fucking magic lure. And he manages to snag a bass every fucking time with it. And he calls himself a bass master. I told him, you fucking dumb fuck, you ain't shit but a poacher. Anywho, fuck Bubba, fuck Junior, fuck those guys, fuck everything they stand for. That's it. Tight lines, and thanks for playing.
So we figured out who Jay was. We figured out who Jay was. Wow. I didn't know that there was a Piggly Wiggly in Ohio. That's fucking crazy. But that's amazing. So I think that's going to be it. I don't know that we're going to hear from them. I think Junior actually, if I'm not mistaken, I think Junior last week said that was going to be his last call. He was like, I don't want to fuck up your show. You know, you guys do a good program. I don't want to mess things up. But so there you go. To answer your question, Michael, yeah, any word on Bubba? That's the word right there. So yeah, that's about it. We're gonna take a quick break, guys. We're running a little close on time, and we're going to come back with the live. Well, we got one question in there, but it's a solid one, and you're not going to want to miss it. We got more show coming up. Don't go too far. More Jigs and Bigs right after this.
Hi there. Welcome to the Live Well, where we crack open a ramp beer and attempt to answer all of your burning questions.
Yep. Oh yeah. So we got one call for the Live Well this week, and I'll bet you can't guess who it is that called in. I'll bet you can't. I'm willing to bet that you can't. Oh, look at this. Metal Jones says putting up a new blog post right now from the one and only Joe Brown. Well, look at that. Who reads blogs anymore? Who reads blogs? Who fucking reads?
Oh God, I know, it's so terrible. I don't.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and take a listen to this call right here, and we'll see if we can answer some questions.
Hey guys, Eli. Question for the Live Well. This is so as the weather is turning, start getting a lot colder. What's a piece of gear that you would recommend? This could be. I know that obviously varies depending on if you're on a boat, if you're bank fishing, or if you're in a kayak. But what is one or two or three pieces of gear that you'd recommend as the weather starts turning?
That's an interesting one because some of the gear, I don't think it does change whether you're on a boat, a kayak, or anything like that.
Yeah.
I would say as the weather starts to turn, cold weather gear is a big one. I think that's a real big one, and the difference might be if you're on a boat. We might be talking about like bibs and like a parka.
Yep.
Shit like that. If you're in a kayak, it might be a little bit more because of the need to be more agile in a kayak. That might change. Like, so that might be an actual neoprene wetsuit. It might be synthetic layers, something like that you can, that'll keep you dry. I think one thing for sure is a good base layer.
Yeah.
I think that's a big one. What do you do, Joe, for a base layer in the cold weather?
I have my military issued shit.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, but that shit works really good. What's the material on that? Is it wool?
Yeah, I have some wool ones, but I also have some synthetic ones.
Yeah. I usually opt with the synthetic stuff primarily because it's cheaper. It does the job. I usually run pretty hot anyway. Like if we're talking cold weather gear, like a good base layer is good tops and bottoms, but I'm not a fan of like the union suit for these. I like the tops because then you can say like, okay, so it's super cold. Like the top, you might throw that on most days, but if it's like really, really cold, that's when I'll throw the bottoms on with it, you know?
Yeah.
And yeah, I think clothing for layering is a big one, you know?
Yeah. 100%. It like my biggest thing would be the biggest thing I always have on my boat is I got my lightweight bibs are not, they're not lightweight, but they're not like ice fishing. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so I have my bibs and my jacket or my parka or whatever.
Yep.
And, you know, those are good for the rain, the wind. I mean, you wouldn't believe, those of you who've been out, you get it, is you wouldn't believe how much more comfortable you are just cutting the wind out.
Yeah. Oh my God. It makes a big difference.
Yeah. It makes a huge difference.
Yep. The wind is real, real rough. I would say it's not a terrible idea to also look into like some gloves, that fishing gloves though, that are designed for what you're doing. So like I've got a pair of these gloves that have multiple spots that flip down. So like they're gloves.
Yeah, I have ones like that too.
Yeah, and I've got, I think
it's just the tips fold back.
And it's only 3 of the fingers. It's my thumb, my index, and my middle finger. But on top of that, the reason why I love these, and I love these for like bank fishing, is because not only can I flip those caps back on to cover my fingers, there's a separate flap that goes over the back of my hand that I can put up and makes it a big mitten. It's even warmer, you know? So like, if I'm walking to a spot, you know, like I'll put that on and it's nice. There's a little bit of grip there too. A hat is a big one. You lose so much body heat off the top of your head. And off the soles of your feet too. So like wool socks are a huge one. I love wool socks. They're pretty much the only socks that I actually wear now. You see me in the summer, I'm usually not wearing any kind of a sock. I'm usually wearing Crocs because
I am a degenerate.
That's usually the thing. But you know, we even get to this time of the year, like I'll throw wool socks on. Like there's in the video that's going to drop today, you'll see me. I'm wearing my bibs and I got socks and Crocs. Because they're more comfortable to wear standing on the boat than my muck boots. Like I've got the really cheap service muck boots.
Bobby, you're not a degenerate because that's what all the kids do, dude.
I know.
It's like I'm embarrassed to be around my kids because of like the way they fucking wear their Crocs with socks or their slides with socks.
You know, I tried to like do the self-deprecating, like, oh yeah, I'm wearing my Crocs with socks. My daughter was like, nothing wrong with that. I do it all the time. And I'm like, you're 15. Right. Like, okay.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm cool. Yeah.
or the printed pajama pants and shit. Like, get the fuck. Like, I buy them all these nice clothes and they're going to school with all their pajama pants.
Oh my God, dude, they love them. It's like something about Cookie Monster pajama pants and like an oversized like fucking ICP t-shirt. It tells me everything about the choices you've made in life.
Oh God, I'm like, I was like, they think we live in a fucking trailer park. Like, Jesus.
It's true, man. It's true. Binya says, he goes, you can't bundle up as much on a kayak. That's true. You got to keep agile. He says, I almost started a friction fire wearing my bibs and pedaling all day. So yeah, cold weather gear is definitely a big one. As far as like gear, like I don't think that there's like baits or anything like that we can necessarily get into.
No.
Drop shot weights, not a bad idea. Get them from Dark Horse Tackle. Get the wicked weights. Trust me, you'll be happy.
Here's the big thing, Bobby. None of the baits, the fishing gear, the rods, the reels count or matter if you're fucking cold.
If you're freezing, you're going to be miserable. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, I will say there is something magical about getting on fish and being like, suddenly I don't feel so cold anymore. But that is a fleeting feeling. And when it goes away, you're like, I am freezing my tits off.
Yep.
You know?
Yep. I'll never forget looking over at Zechariah, 28 degrees up at the St. Lawrence River. And we had about a 45-minute run, dude.
Teeth
and his
fucking
beard
shattering.
just split in half
Yeah.
and like snot's coming out.
Oh, that is brutal. Yeah, it gets fucking cold, man. It really does. And I'll tell you, like, I think if you're on a boat, like having a decent set of bibs, and what you put under the bibs is a big one. Like when I layer, I look at it like there's like 3 layers that I look at. I look at the base layer, right? That's synthetic, moisture wicking, all that stuff.
Yep.
And then I look at a mid layer, and that's like the insulating layer. So oftentimes that'll be wool or it'll be even synthetic. And like I'll use like I have these synthetic sweatpants that they're awesome. They're great. They have good pockets, like everything. They're not the most flattering things to wear everywhere, but like whatever. I'm there to fish. So I'll put those on, and I will like I wasn't wearing my base layer yesterday. You know, I mean, we started air temps were like 34 degrees. I wasn't wearing my base layer yesterday. I was wearing my mid layer. And then I put my bibs on top of that, and I was cozy all day until about like 11. And I was getting warm. And I took the bibs off.
Yeah.
And I just fished the rest of the day like that, and it was fine. And yeah, that's the thing, is just be adaptable, because that's the other thing too. It's like if you're bundled up so much and you start sweating, none of that shit's going to help you. So you want to take your hat off to get that body heat to resonate. And then, you know, there's a difference. If you're active, take a layer off. If you're not active, put a layer on. Like, think about it like that. Be smart. And it's all about regulating your body temp. I will say this. I recently watched a video on the insulating system for the military for like extreme cold temperatures. It's interesting shit. It's wild.
Yeah, I got some of that level 7 stuff. It's like I'll throw it on like with just my underwear, dude, and like a t-shirt to go snowblow or something, and I'm still hot. It's like, wow.
It insulates so unbelievably well. Zach says it was a bit nipply. All the water from the trolling motor goes directly to the passenger's face. Yes. Yes, it does.
That's the one part I'm like, oh, maybe I should have got the passenger console after all.
Because that water,
everyone I see in that passenger seat, when you first get going, dude, they're just eating all that water coming off the trolling motor. I'm like, whoa.
And it's in that kind of temperature, that water has to feel like ice lasers. Like just like oh my God, I can only imagine.
Yep.
Oh, so yeah, I would say that like as the temperature, because it's a big deal. Like you go out, even if you're bank fishing, right? Man, you gotta be smart. You know, layer up, do it the right way. A good pair of boots, your footwear.
Good pair of boots, waterproof.
Yep, waterproof, insulated, with like a decent sock is going to be, you know,
nothing beats a good pair of muck boots, dude.
Yeah, no, you're right. I gotta reinvest, because mine are fine. They definitely do the job, and like I don't mind getting them fucked up or anything, and they were cheap. But I do want to get something, or maybe I could just throw an insole in there.
Yep.
Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll consider doing that. Just putting an insole in there that's a little bit more comfortable to be on my feet for like a full day.
Dude, it's crazy, because like I have a pair of muck boots.
Yep.
That have lasted longer than any pair of clothing type item. I've had them for 10 years.
That's
dude.
crazy.
They were a gift from my parents.
Wow. That's awesome.
10 years ago, and I'm still using them.
Are they all, do you like the muck boots that are all like rubberized, or do you have like the ones that are
just all rubberized?
Oh, they are. Okay. Cause like my dad bought some, I forget where he got them from. He might've got them at like Tractor Supply, and they're neoprene, like at about the mid calf up. And I'm like, I thought neoprene allowed water to go through, or I don't know. What
mine are fully they're warm as hell. They're like the winter based ones, but they're actually the muck brand. And you can fold them down if you don't want them all the way up your cat. They're great,
really?
Dude.
That's awesome, dude. That's really great.
Yeah.
Fuck. All right, man. I'm gonna have to look around at some of that shit, figure it out. I think this afternoon I got to take a ride to Cabela's and get a net. Because there's no way there's no way I'm going to be able to do this tournament without a net.
Gotta do it.
Yeah, there's no way. So with that said, let's go ahead and wrap this show up, guys. I think we freaking killed it. I said we wanted to be done by 10 a.m. Bingo. Look at that shit. Guys, We have great stuff going on for you coming up. As you know, granted, fishing is slowing for sure for some folks, but we're going to be talking about planning trips. We're going to be talking about things that you can do to stay fishy in the colder weather, and also if you're dabbling with ice fishing, we're going to be covering some of that shit too. And this winter, I think Bobby Roast Beef is going to make an effort to get on the ice, and I'm saying that right now. So
Joe is too. Joe is too.
Good. I'm saying that right now because I don't want the Cape to freeze, and I'm going to be doing some scanning out there and putting the work in. That's what I'm saying. So yes, I'm fully planning on ice fishing. It's going to be a party. Don't miss it. It's going to be great. We'll figure it all out, but who knows? 300th is coming up. January the 24th will be here before you know it, and tickets are going to go on sale on Halloween. Trick or fucking treat. Get your tickets at jigsandbigs.com. There's a link sitting there right now if you want to go and stare at it. And then as 12:01 a.m. the Halloween morning comes around, and you can could be the first person to buy your tickets. You just got to be the weird uncle from One Crazy Summer. You can do that. You can totally do that. On top of that, we have more and more prize sponsors coming in that we'll be listing, and I'm going to be posting stuff all over the Jigs and Bigs social media accounts to let you guys know what's going on with prizes and everything. Remember, getting your ticket is your ticket to go to the physical event or visit the live stream, but your ticket is how you win prizes. So even if you're just like, I don't even give a shit about these guys, I just want some free shit, buy a ticket. And if I call your name, we're going to ship out your prize. That's it. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome. I'm looking forward to it. I'm sure that you guys are too. The live stream is going to be happening on YouTube on the Jigs and Bigs channel on that day. We're going to start with social hour at 6 p.m. And I'm also in the stage now where we are working on some special guests. We'll see what we can do. I got a couple of phone calls I got to make sure people are available, but it should be good. Joe, do you have anything you want to wrap up with before we go?
Nah, man, that's it. Great show. Let's do it again next week.
It was one hell of a party. I will say that much, guys. And next Sunday is going to be something else because we'll be in it. We'll be in the oh my god, you guys. Next week's episode could be a mess. You could be dealing with a very mentally fragile Bobby Roast Beef, depending on how this week goes. Fuck. All right, you guys have yourselves a good one. Thanks so much for listening to the show. We appreciate you. Share it with a friend. If you like the fishy shit that we do like John Hagen's and share it with the cousins you don't really like to talk to, because just don't give them our fucking phone number. Just don't do that. Actually, you can do that. That's fine. Maybe we'll just leave those off the show. I sometimes it's nice to just know that people are listening. But we'll see you guys. Have yourselves a good one. It's like we always say,
tits and ass, smoke some grass.